months, I'm working on my collage portion of my project, of the overall project of the Texas Gone photo series I'm doing, which eventually I hope to turn into a book. If you've been watching any of our earlier videos, you've seen a little bit about what we're trying to do on that. So today I'm going to be taking a couple of photographs that are mine, that I shot, and this one is here close to San Antonio, and this one is way out in kind of the middle of Texas, a place called Norton, and this picture is about 30 to 35 years old. And I was recently over at my friend Dan and Teresa's house, and they have been helping me with the social media aspects of this, because that's obviously not my strong suit. If you've been watching these videos, you know that already. So it's not really about the videos, it's about trying to get this work out and get it shown and get a photo book published, raising money to do that. So, but Teresa really connected to this picture with the chair. She really liked this one a lot, and her brother and his wife also happened to be at the dinner, and Christy, her name, and James is her brother's name, really liked this picture. So I'm going to do each of them a collage just as a favor, not as a favor, to say thank you for a favor that they did for helping me out. And what Christy and James are going to do, James is a home builder, and he has a home coming up soon in the Parade of Homes in San Antonio's showcase of fine homes, and he's going to let me put a couple of pieces of my work up in one of his homes. So I'm really excited about that. So the first step that I do with these pictures when I'm going to incorporate them into a collage is basically I print them on a linen paper, and then I tear all the edges off. So the reason I tear the edges off is because I want a rough cut feel. I don't want it to feel like it's done with perfection. I like the kind of the jagged edge and the roughness of the paper, as opposed to just a straight line that, you know, looks like you just cut it with scissors. So no two are exactly the same. And you can, I'm going to turn it this way so you can kind of see the picture itself. So no two are exactly the same, and even the white boundaries don't always match up. This is kind of a slower process while I'm wearing this sling, still dealing with the shoulder issues, so don't have full mobility yet. Anyway, this is the top edge of this photo, and then I'll do this to the three other sides, and then we'll get ready for the first placement. So I'll get back to you here after I get the rest of these torn off, and we'll go from there. So if you were watching any of our earlier videos, you saw me making these backgrounds that I use for the end collage pieces. So really my first step to do is kind of make a placement on the page as far as where I want the picture to be. For the horizontal pictures, I usually like to have them cast to the side a little bit. This picture kind of has a feel of going in that direction, so I'm going to move it over to this side of the page and let it kind of just move that way. So I'm going to look for a larger piece to go in here, a couple of pieces for up here, and then some down here to tie it all together. And as far as my kind of collection of different materials, it ranges all over the map. So this is some new cardboard that I did my coffee staining on, and then this is some wood that I found as they were tearing down an old roof on a very old house. The house was probably 100 years old, at least in the neighborhood it was in, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was the original wood on the roof, and you can see all the old nail holes in it and all the old stains, and to me it's beautiful. So I want to try to incorporate this into these two pieces, and also probably will incorporate a hymnal, even though this is not like a church or a piece like that. I like to get something that has some words and context, and I really like the feel of the old paper. It really matches with the rest of the context of what I'm trying to do. So I keep basically all my remnants and scraps of everything. So from old newspaper clippings, this came from this really cool series of record books that I have. I bought these several years ago before I even was thinking about doing this project, I just thought they were cool. I don't know if you can see, no, the date's not coming up there very good, but these go all the way back. I think this one is 1927. Yeah, so that's September 24th, 1927. So this book itself is almost over 100 years old. I'm not necessarily trying to chronologically tie the elements I use in the collage to the same date as the picture, just being in the past. That's kind of what I'm looking for whenever possible. Can't always do it. Sometimes I'm using modern pieces to bring in to get the feel of what I'm looking for. This is an example of a wallpaper I bought, and then again I did the coffee stain on it to get that little bit of feeling of aged. So I'm going to take a little break here with this, kind of do my placement of everything, and then I'll be back and we'll continue on with the project. So I kind of have a rough placement done now of what I want. I've got the flow coming down. I moved the overall picture a little bit this way. And like I said earlier, I wanted to put a piece of a hymnal in there. And I'm not trying to make any sort of religious statement or anything like that with the fact that I'm using a hymnal, because church played a major role in these folks' lives, not only the worship and spiritual part, but their just day-to-day life as far as their socialization and their friends and everything else. So it was a huge part of their life, and I feel like it's important to include that along with this work. I have an old hymnal. I have several old hymnals. I buy them wherever I can. They're not all necessarily from Texas. I want to make that clear. And I want to make it real clear that not all my material that I use is old source material. Some of it's new stuff. Like this is the map. Let me zoom in here. Okay, this is the little town, Norton. So what I do is just scan a copy of the map of the little town, and then I kind of cut it out to fit the place, because I think it's important to give a sense of location as to where we are. Now this one, I kind of saved this part for you because I only dyed one in. I was just going to show you how I dye some of this other stuff. So it's pretty simple. Just put it in there real quick, let it get a little bit of color on it. I don't want to get too much because I want to still be able to read it. And then I put it up on this rack with everything else to let it dry. So I was going through the hymnals, and I found a hymn that I thought sounded really cool for this. I'd never heard it before, and it doesn't sound necessarily like overly religious, so I think it fits a home instead of just a church. It's called Sweet Home of Love. So I kind of think, that you hope that when this house was at its prime, it was a sweet home of love. So I'm gonna take this page out, which I always hate taking pages out of the original books, but that's what I'm gonna do. So I am gonna have to switch off camera because I'm still in the brace and I can't do this with one hand. So I tore out the hymnal page, and I needed the hand with the shoulder brace on it too for that. Anyway, I placed it in there. I think it looks really cool, so I think I've got a good feel on my design now. In here, I'm going to put some pieces of like dried wildflowers and some other organic elements. Again, I bought these dried flowers. I really want to reiterate that not all of my components from my collages are old, and not necessarily all from Texas. I'm going for a look and an age and a feel. So I just want to make sure that I'm not portraying this as being all old authentic pieces, because they're not. Just the look is what I'm going for as far as that goes. So next step will be to start getting ready to glue stuff down. I've got to let my little town part dry first. So there you see it, Norton. And that's the little town that this picture was shot in. Oops, there we go. Me, Mr. Technical with the camera here. I should be right after being a photojournalist for so many years. The new little phones are great though. You can do pretty much anything with these that I could do with, $4,000 camera 25, 30 years ago, except when it's really dark at night. That's the only time they really don't work well. So I'm gonna start with that other piece dry, and then I've got to cut a piece of black paper to go around the edge of the white, because I like for everything to pop off of that black and white, and then we do the white mat and then the black frame. So you'll see the whole thing here in a little while when I get it all finalized and put together. Okay, so I got the black edge paper cut that will be kind of the frame for the photograph itself. And the reason I like to have the black is it does serve as a frame for the photo, and it kind of pops off. And I do cut these so that I get a relatively straight line. It's not perfect, but that's okay. But you can see how that rough edge just kind of blends off of that black, and I like that feel. So my next step is I'll use a spray adhesive on the photograph, and let's see if I can do this with one hand. All right, let me try. Haven't done a video doing this part, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm just using a spray adhesive. You can pretty much use anything. I try to get stuff from art stores because I know it's going to be more aware and more cognizant that these pieces we want them to last a long time, so I don't want something cheap and it's going to like fall apart. So it's more of a preservative, more of archival type elements that I use as much as I can. Okay, got it sprayed down. Let it dry for just a second, and then I will come in here and this is a little harder than I thought it'd be with just one hand. Okay, got it. So I've got the black edge all the way around. It's off center just a little bit, so I'm gonna shut this off for a second and recenter it before it dries. Okay, so I recentered this and have it the way I want it looking now, so you can see it has a nice black edge all the way around it, and it will help define and pop off the rest of the page. So next step will be, and this is where you have to, or I have to think a little bit. I like to have the overlap, like what's going on right there. So I've got 3 overlaps here, so I have to be conscious of what piece I put down first, and also in the relation, because I'm having some other pieces going on down here. So my very first piece is going to be the old wallpaper, and that works out great because I can see where I want to space it off the top of the page. So I'm going to shut the camera back off and spray that and get these first couple of pieces attached, and then put the camera back on, and basically will look the same as it is. It takes a little while. You got to hold each piece down, let it dry. So this whole process was like 15-20 minutes, something like that, if it all goes well. Sometimes it doesn't, and you got to kind of take everything apart and start over. Here we go. So one other thing I forgot to tell you, it's getting dark, so the light came on, sorry about that. I use this to spray down each of the pieces before I spray them in place, or before I use any of the liquid matte for finalizing, so that none of the coffee or ink stains spread out and get all over the place. So let me see if I can get this light off. I don't want that on. So I've got everything pretty much tacked down. I'm losing my light. It's getting dark and my light's not great in here, so moving a little bit slower to make sure I get everything right. And please excuse my voice. I've got allergies real bad. I'm hoping a little wine will help, but I don't know. We'll see. A little wine always helps. Anyway, so the next thing I'm going to do is glue down. I'm going to turn it like this so I can see it better. Everything's backwards though. But I'm going to glue this piece down. So I don't use the spray adhesive on that. I use this acrylic medium so that it really glues it in place, because it's multi-dimensional. And if I don't use this, it doesn't stick as well as it should. So I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to do that, and I'll show you that part. Okay, so when I first started using this, I was using a brush, but I found actually that I can get it better where I want it if I just do it by hand. So I'll lay that down underneath the picture so it just barely is going to come up to the picture. I'm going to scoot it over just a little bit. All right, and then this back up a little bit. Okay, that looks good there. That part, back down a little bit there. And then I'm gonna put a few more drops on top and then work those in. Kind of hard to tell, but this is the backing of old wallpaper. And if you've ever seen old wallpaper, you know that it has kind of like strings, and that's the way they would tape it on and glue it up to the wall. So I found an old abandoned house and talked to the owner and had a bunch of old wallpaper. So I went in and started ripping the old wallpaper off and kept all that, and now using it for this project. So I kept using it for this project. So the next thing I do is I'm going to put the wood piece. So next I am going to put the wood piece on, and I'm going to use quite a bit of the acrylic matting substance there. No, not acrylic, what did I say? Yeah, it is acrylic. Anyway, got that on there, and that's going to need a good couple of hours to dry out really good to make sure it doesn't go off. And still waiting on the little map to dry up here, so I'll get that done as soon as it's dry. And then the last thing, we'll be back and I'll put a few little wildflower pieces in here to give it that feel of being a sweet home, or at least it used to be a sweet home. We like to think so anyway. So again, forgive me for my allergies. I know I sound terrible, but I wanted to show you this part of the process. And also, if anybody's interested in buying any of these pieces or has any suggestions of like little ghost towns I could go to, or if has any old cool paper stuff that they don't want, they were going to throw away, old letters, cards, anything like that, I can use any of those items. But if you want to reach me, the easiest way to do is text me. It's 210-825-3755. Again, text me at 210-825-3755. Don't call, because I don't pick up calls because I get so many scam calls. So anybody that knows me and anybody knows that want to actually get a hold of me knows to text me. So any questions, any thoughts, any suggestions? I hope you like what we're doing. If so, please subscribe to our page, and you'll keep getting new videos that way as we do stuff. And I'm hoping pretty soon to get back on the road to revisit some of the old places. And I found a couple of new to me ghost towns. They're ghost towns already, but I hadn't heard of them before, so I'm gonna go check those out. So I'm gonna be out hitting the road again, doing some shooting, and of course I will be bringing you guys along with me via our videos. So thanks again. Start it. Okay, now stay. After it starts, give it a second or two, and now go in a little closer, slowly, slower, slower, slower. Okay, I've got the piece finished now. Everything's glued down, dried really, really good. So next I'm going to be putting a few little dried flowers and leaves on here. Now some of these leaves, the leaves, some of them I've dried out myself. The rest of them, I bought the flowers. Again, I don't want to give any presumption that all this stuff is, something that I've done as far as the collage pieces. The pictures, yes, they're all mine. But as far as the collage pieces, I'm using elements from everywhere that fits to create a piece of art that takes it beyond just the photography from the Texas Goen project. Again, my hope would be people would purchase these collages for their home, and then the proceeds I use with that, I'm going to put forward to actually printing a photo book of all my black and white photos that I've shot throughout the years. So I'm going to come in now, got to put the glasses on to do this, and I'm going to try out a couple of pieces. Terry, you want to come in and get a little closer? I want to try a couple of pieces to see what's going to fit. So I want to do something really light and delicate with this.
This corner of this picture is really bright, so I wanted to kind of bring it down, but that's too big for there. I think that's too big for there too, so that's not going to quite work. Okay, here's a little smaller piece. So I know it's too bright. Let me see how this will work up there. Yeah, I like that. Just a very dainty little piece, and it really pops really well off that black. Okay, kind of ties into the wallflower there. Next, I'm going to try, since the whiter flowers didn't work, I'm going to try some of the brown leaves. See how those look on there. Let's see. That kind of works there. Let's try this guy here. Let's see. I like it that way. I like it better that way. I like the veins showing that better. So I'm just going to kind of fill that in there. Those two leaves don't exactly match. Let me see something else here. Let me try this leaf. It's a little more. I don't know if that's going to. Yeah, I don't like that leaf as well. So I'm going to go back to that other leaf. So these are leaves that have not been pressed because I wanted to get a little bit of the texture. So I've got enough area to glue each of them down. Now, I used that spray adhesive on the other stuff, as I was showing you earlier in the video. On this, I actually used the liquid matte because it needs to really, really stick. And then I just come in real gently. I don't want to like just cover these up where it makes like a film or white fog on top of it, but I want it where it's not going to move for sure. So when it's being transported and after it hangs on the wall, it's going to stay there. Okay, that looks good. And what I'm going to do then is put this back under the heavy duty fan and get that kind of all over there. Kind of want to make it look like it's growing out of that piece of wood a little bit. Okay, and then this one, I'm going to do the same thing. This one makes good contact, so it's going to be a little easier to do. No, I thought it would be. It's really not. Oops, I get too much there. Okay, there we go. All right, that's down. That's got good contact there. That obviously has good contact. Now what I'm going to do is put this back under the fan again with that little heater on to let these dry really good before I come in and sign it and then put the mat on it. I got some little thing there, so get that off of there. So Terry, kind of come back around and, well here, I'll just spin it around. So kind of back out and get a whole shot. So now I've got the leaves. I stayed with the texture. I covered up a little bit of the area of the house that I thought was too white. This is real subtle. It'll take kind of a second look to see this particular leaf here, but I like that. Again, I like how it covers up part of the old mesh that was part of the wallpaper. And then I just wanted something light and delicate, I should say, to go over this heavier contrasted dark area that again kind of plays off the wallpaper. Also kind of all points back down to the little town of Norton where this is from. So that's it for now on this piece. When I get ready to frame it and mat it, we'll go through that too and show you the process on that.
Okay.
Is it recording?
Yep.
Okay. You got me in there too?
Yep.
Okay. So I've got the two pieces done that I've been working on, the one for Teresa and the one for her sister-in-law, Christy. Next comes mounting them to the black background that they go on. So what I do to make sure my orientation is right, As far as spacing goes, I put the piece down, and then I'm going to use some of the liquid matte right in the center, kind of spread that out. Again, doing this with the left hand is kind of weird, but it is what it is. And these black mattes are also non-acid, so they're made for artwork, so they won't deteriorate things over time. And then I'm going to take my spray adhesive and do all around the edges, because the paper is a little bit bent, the watercolor paper. And this stuff can get really messy, so you got to be real careful with that. Okay, bring it back up. Try to flip it over without making too much of a mess. And then place it even on the sides. A little more space on the bottom, making sure that the white and black line up, which I was off a little bit. Good thing I checked it. So come in there, there. Step back and look. Okay, it all looks good. So now I'm going to press it all down, and the quick adhesive will stick first. And then that gives time for the liquid matte adhesive to really kick in and go. So I'll do that to the other one, and then I'll put some weight on them for a while to make sure they're really good and dry. Come back, I'll sign the mats, and then put the pieces together in the frames, and I'll show you how to do that, and you'll see a finished piece from beginning to end. So keep watching our videos. We appreciate it. Make sure you can subscribe if you like what you're seeing. We'll be back in a little bit. Tell me when you're rolling.
Okay. All right. I'm ready.
Okay. So, come to the last part of the whole process here. We're going to be doing the matting and framing. So I'm going to sign the mat first of all. This part always is rather difficult because I don't want to screw up the mat, especially when with an arm that's only half working. So I'm going to title this one off of the title of the hymnal I used, Sweet Home of Love. And this was in Norton, Texas. And then I'll sign my name over here. And then part of the Texas Goen series. Another thing I do is I sign on the piece itself and date it, but it's kind of hard to see it on this, but at least it's done. And then I'll do the same thing to the other piece and then frame it. So we'll get back and finish that part up.
Okay.
So finishing up the last little bits of doing the framing here. Just make sure the mat is as clean as possible. Seems like I always have some kind of dirt in there. I have to go open it back up and start over. So put the piece in, because this is a shadow box, there has to be definition between the first mat and the mat with the main on it, with a main piece of art. So I just use paint sticks. Screw Lowe's or Home Depot, they give you a bunch for free. If they're out, I usually just buy some then. But do the 4 paint sticks in here. This in here. These are all pre-framed. You can get them online or at an art store. I get mine at Jerry's Art in San Antonio. pay a little more, but they've been really helpful to me, so I'm glad to give them the business. Turn these over. These little guys unsecure. Pretty much it. So I'll take a photograph of it and then we'll go from there. Getting them boxed up and ready to be given away.